On today's Ask Zach, we're going to get to meet one of the hottest super pickers here in town, Matthew Lee. Well, hello friends, and welcome to Ask Zach. Today we're going to get to meet Matthew Lee, one of the great, super pickers that you can see down on Broadway. And in fact, that's how I, first saw him play in person. I, of course, had seen clips of him playing online and was blown away by them, but seeing him in person was even better. And I think the embarrassment of it is just, I went down there to play a gig with my buddy Austin, playing on Broadway in Nashville. And afterwards we went down to Roberts and saw, Kelly's Heroes, for a bit. And I had a burger and, seeing Luke McQuarrie play, who's just ridiculously great. And then 2 doors down, went and saw Matthew Lee play. And so I asked him to come down so that we could just kind of get to know him a little bit. So that's what we're going to do in a minute. But just a quick pause for the cause. And I just want to thank everyone that has given me thumbs up or subscribed or commented on videos or bought a coffee mug or a t-shirt. I appreciate that. Also, if you're interested in Patreon, supporting me that way, there's information in the description. And I greatly appreciate it. That's what keeps this show going. All right, let's meet Matthew Lee.
Well, I started playing guitar. It was a Christmas present from my dad, and I'm a little bit older, so it was in the 80s. So of course you've got, Eddie Van Halen was rocking and rolling. The movie Crossroads came out, and I put away the G.I. Joes and the baseball cards and wanted to become a rock star. I love the vibe of that, and to play a lot of those solos took some technical capabilities. So I learned quite quickly that you had to put the time in, and that you in order to play a lot of that stuff, you really had to practice. Luckily, I had a mom and pop store literally a mile away from my house, and that was my home away from home. And boy, did I absorb that culture, and it was so cool to be able to do that. And I just fell in love with the instrument. I knew what I wanted to do in life at the age of 12. So then it comes down to, what do I need to do to pursue that? I've been in town for about 17 years now, and I'm still pursuing it. So it's still a work in progress, but boy, am I liking the journey. And there's just so many great stories and experiences that I've gotten out of living this lifestyle. It ain't easy, folks, but in the end, it's the only thing I want to do. Well, basically, I was filling in for somebody who actually was the owner of this said store. I once again was teaching now. I was a little bit older at this store, and I was filling in. I'd never played country. I come from a rock background. I just studied South American music and classical, all that Renaissance, Baroque, all that kind of stuff to get a music degree, which I went to up in Wisconsin. And so he said, "Hey man, I know you don't play country, but I'm looking to sub out my gig. You wanna pick a Telecaster off the wall and start learning that?" And I just fell in love with it. The reason why I still love it is because I feel like it's a style of music I can grow old with. So basically, it's kind of like it's got a little bit of the Southern rock, it's got a little bit of the pop. I like swing because I was in a jazz band in school. So then you add that country and Western approach. To me, it's where it's at. And I think that there are endless opportunities and pathways to go through that just make it fun, exciting, challenging. It's got a huge history, but also there's just so much to cover. Well, I came down to Nashville, and basically I fell in love with the scene. I took a buddy down and we did a big tour of, like, we did try to find Robert Johnson's grave in, Mississippi. We hung out at Ground Zero, did the Delta Blues stuff, did Memphis, and I go, wait till Nashville, you're gonna get blown away. I hadn't even been there, so I didn't even know what I was talking about. But we hung out on Broadway, we went to some shows, and the amount of playing was just incredible. Keep in mind that's circa 20 years ago, so things were a little bit different, but boy, that whet my appetite enough. I saved up for 2.5 years and pulled the plug on a great teaching gig, great amount of gigs back in Wisconsin, and just decided this was what I wanted to pursue. Believe it or not, my going away party, I actually passed the tip jug so I could afford gas money to get down here. So I knew already the rules of engagement, as they say, immediately when you're off the plane or the bus or whatever, you step into the metropolitan area of Nashville, is come with tip jug. Well, some of the players that influenced me the most is, as we go out of the rock and roll Matthew Lee, go through the studious academia Matthew Lee. Now let's place ourselves in the country realm, which I didn't know a lot about, so as I wound up kind of discovering people, I'd already been exposed to Chet Atkins, who I absolutely love, and as a classical player, you kind of know what's going on with that whole right hand stuff that you can wind up doing. I love that. And then I discovered Danny Gatton. And Danny Gatton it's weird because I had seen his performances on Austin City Limits years and years ago, then started to do a little bit of research on him. He's my favorite. And then you start listening to all these songs that you've got to play if you're going to gig out any country music. And at that time, it was up to kind of the later 90s, early 2000s. That's Brent Mason land right there. And boy, did I catch the Brent Mason bug as well. I would say of a lot of them, those are my two big ones, but there are it just depends on what recording, but those are two big ones that really come to mind. And then you talk about modern country playing, Brad Paisley. I mean, once I heard Mud on the Tires, I've been a fan ever since. He has such a modern approach to it, but with very, how I want to say, just giving a tip of the cap to everybody that's come before. I just believe that he's the, it was so funny. I remember him being on the cover of a magazine and they called him Eddie Van Halen on cornbread. That's kind of like the way that I think about it. So being an Eddie Van Halen fan, I just kind of feel like he's the country Eddie Van Halen, and highly, highly respect him for creating his own awesome, incredible licks that are, like on his tunes, the B-sides ones, but also some of the like huge hits. So I find that very cool. Well, the gear that I use when I'm normally gigging, I brought a couple guitars, but this is one that I've been playing a lot lately, and I'm a big telly player, and this is a newer build by this company, Lucky Dog. This is Montana Sugar Pine, so it's about 5.2 pounds, and basically they wind their own pickups as well, so you've got kind of an A3 Type 5 vibe in the bridge, and then they have obviously their neck pickup, which is it's called a hog leg, but basically you get sounds like this. How about play and not talk? So So it has great voicings in the bridge, middle, and neck position. So that's kind of, I keep it pretty traditional. I'm a big Telecaster player. I really like just the feel of it. As the older I get, I really like the lightness of the body. And Montana Sugar Pine has got twang, snap, and then also lack of weight. I'm a big Fender guy on the amp type sound. I really like, I have everything from a Princeton to a deluxe. I'm a big deluxe guy. I've got everything from a blackface to a reissue, heavily modded. Just picked up a nice 68 drip edge Vibrolux. Don't have a twin, don't have a pro reverb yet, but those are hopefully coming soon. Those are typically the type of amps that you'll find me playing live. It just kind of depends. I think you base your amp on what the setting is for the gig. Is it a smaller gig? Maybe a Princeton will work. Play with a loud drummer, go with a loud amp, you know. So it just kind of depends. But like, I've got everything from a couple of reissue 65 Deluxes. I've got a blackface Deluxe that I like a lot, that Vibrolux, and it just kind of depends on what setting. I also have, you know, more not combo type of amps. So I've got a red plate head and cabinet, and then also have a 65 Bassman. So it just kind of depends, like, how loud you need to be. The older you get and the more ideal the situation, the lighter the volume, and not super light, but, you know, just something that isn't just rock and roll loud. So I think the gig dictates what you use. Pedal wise, I keep things as simple as possible. Tuner, clean boost, some sort of overdrive, delay, and maybe some sort of modulation. On some of my bigger pedal boards, tremolo, you know, use a Flint, or use, you know, obviously if you're going for any sort of Wayland type tone, you know, I have the Script, I think it's the Phase 90, where it can do the 90 and the 45. So nothing too fancy, nothing too psychedelic. I'm just going for, you know, the best tone that I can get, and what is the application. Are you doing a lot of Southern rock? Well, I might need a bigger board. Are you doing some weirder stuff? Are you going to try to emulate some maybe keyboard type stuff? So it just depends, but I'm cool with running with, you know, I've played a lot at Roberts. I didn't even bring a pedal board, you know, so that just depends on the situation. Yeah, I basically, I had a buddy that you know, I did the thing as a person that's trying to do things fiscally responsible, if you will, and put together your stuff, or, you know, like parts casters and all that. And my buddy's like, man, you've missed the mark 2 times in a row or 3 times in a row. This has got this, and you need to call Bill Crook. You need to call Bill Crook. I'll give you his phone number. Finally, I caved, and I said, yeah, I'm ready to talk to Bill. And I was borrowed a guitar by a good buddy of mine, and finally got in touch with Bill, and this was the one that spoke to me. Obviously, it's super flashy, so you got the Bass Boat vibe going on with the Paisley pickguard. I just find it super beautiful. It's just one binding. I like the binding on the front, and not to go with the double binding. The attention to detail on the neck that Bill Crook does is just incredible. It's almost like when you get a Martin, and then after you play quite a bit, like your hand oil is the lube of it. It doesn't need a ton of treatment. His attention to detail on the frets is astounding. It just felt comfortable. I love this guitar. And then my buddy just said, this is what I have in mind. You should try these out. And so I've got the pickups in this are Peter Florence pickups, and I believe these are the vintage ones. I could be wrong. All I know is they sound great. So let's just roll through bridge, middle, and neck position, just so you can hear. They got a lot of snap. It's almost like your strings last a little bit longer. It's like putting, you know, elixirs on, but I don't play elixirs. I'm a Diodario guy. So it's just got a nice bright, but not ice picky. This one also has a 4-way position switch, so you kind of get multiple different blends. My thoughts on benders is I think it's great. Obviously, you can do some stuff that physically you can't do. My thought process was keep it as simple as you possibly can and let your fingers do the work. So for example, one of the people that I played with back home was Dan Pitney, who is Mo Pitney's father, and he's a steel player. Well, once I heard a steel guitar, I'm like, how can I sound like that on guitar? Because I'm not going to take up a new instrument. So I just kind of like tried to approach that in the phrasing and the style. And so I did not have a bender. That's, I knew about them, but I just kind of figured, well, how can we do that with what we got here? So I always tell people, well, I don't have a bender on my guitar, but I have 4 benders on my hand. So. So basically what I try to do is simulate a G bender and B bender type of stuff. And I got a lot of the phrasing type ideas from people that I've played with, of course, great steel players, but also like once you hear Red Volkart play, you're like, ooh, ending that phrase on that, just with some sort of bend. So yes, you can, do faux steel good. It's definitely different than benders, but that's just where I've always come from. So this was the second Crook that I wound up picking up because I liked the first one so much. The thing with me is when I work and the guitars that I'm showcasing are with builders that I really trust, it's not that I don't have Fenders. These are just a little bit more interesting, I think, to talk about because they're a little bit more custom. This was the second one that Bill built for me. I had an RS guitar and I liked it, and it had this same type of vibe but without the pickguard like this. I wanted this one a little bit more subdued. If you saw the other one, it's basically a blue bass boat, like it looks beautiful underneath the lights, but I wanted something that is just more scaled down a little bit, I guess, on that look. I really like what Bill did once again with the neck, his attention to detail. The frets are just incredible. It plays super easy. Once again, like the hand oil, like from you just playing lots of hours on it, it's just got this nice sheen that there's no nitro on it or anything like that. Once again, top bound only. And on this one, he put in Buds pickups on this particular guitar. I believe there's some sort of Buds pickups. I'm sorry, I just don't know what they are because I trust him. So nice and kind of light guitar. And then I really like how he does the 2 brass saddles with a third one. I'm assuming that it's different. I don't really know even what that is. I hate to sound so not knowing my stuff, but it's just what he would recommend. So the pickups on this kind of sound like as follows. if you heard the other guitar that I wound up having, you can just sense that it's just not as present on the highs, but still has plenty of body to it. So the whole idea is when you're doing different guitars, you don't just want a different coat of paint on them. You want small little adjustable appointments that allow you to maybe be inspired and go a little bit of a different direction. So paint aside and, you know, all the other appointments, really what it comes down to is how does it feel and how does it sound, and does it kind of like just change or vary a little bit from the other things that I know that I like. That's a great way when you're shopping for guitars to kind of, you know, check out. Well, basically, you know, I'm my own marketer first and foremost. I don't do it super well, but I've got Instagram account. That's probably the best way to check me out, at Matthew Lee Guitar. And that's going to be what I like to do on this stuff is I only talk about positive things and music. So you're not going to see what kind of food I eat and all that stuff. It's basically just like sections from live gigs. They're solos. So it's a guitar-centric way of kind of doing that. I am on Facebook, and the best way to kind of reach out in the whole interweb type of thing would be at MatthewLeeGuitar.com. It's got a bunch of different stuff, videos from way back when and stuff that I've done. I do guitar-centric instrumentals. I've played with Keith Horn, I played with Red Volkart, I did 2 tunes with him, and then some more of my originals. As far as teaching goes, it's kind of something else that I really have enjoyed. I don't have a ton of patience in life, but I tell you what, for teaching, somehow it's unlimited. I love teaching. I love sharing the wealth of knowledge that I've been able to accumulate over many, many years of hard work. So I work for TrueFire, and you can check out my courses on TrueFire. Literally last night, I just did a streaming where every once in a while they give me a call up, and for an hour I just blab on YouTube and talk about very specific things. Last night, for example, was the cage system and how to be able to use that in your soloing and use those chord shapes to play over non-diatonic chords. So like, for example, you know, you're in the key of A. If you play a B major, diatonic ain't gonna work. So how can we use caged and stuff like that? Another thing that I'm really proud of is I worked with Hal Leonard, who is a Wisconsin-based book company, one of the biggest in the world for the greatest guitar tabs that you can get. I'm lucky enough that they selected me. Unfortunately, it was during 2020, so it came out a little bit later. But I have a book of like 113 licks, like 7 solos, 2.5 hours of video. It's an interactive book, so it's not just black notes on white paper. It's like you have that, and then I talk about it. So I show you the kind of in-depth stuff. I'm a big believer in the fact that music is a language, and there's a certain syntax and dialogue to what country music is, and I'm just showing you my approach to it. So I've got a lot of stuff out there, but make sure to check out website, socials, YouTube, and then my book is available on Amazon and also on TrueFire. I do a lot of gigs downtown. Some of them are like, hey man, you available in like 2 hours? And so I'll do those. But I've been lucky enough to be selected for to be the guitar player with a Texas-based artist named Jesse Daniels. So there's going to be a big West Coast run that we have. Make sure to check him out. He's got a lot of great tunes. He's Austin-based right now. including a European tour and an Australian tour. And that's kind of the artist gig, if you will, that I've had. But I've played for Shooter Jennings, Doug Stone, played for Ray Scott, played the Opry a couple times. So, I'm a for-hire guitar player, so there's a lot of stuff in there, and in between all those gigs, that's kind of where the teaching goes. So I also do private lessons, and I also do I'm on Patreon as well.
Well, I hope you enjoyed getting to spend some time with Matthew. He's such a great guy and such a great player, and of course you need to check out his socials so that you can find out where he's playing, and then also, of course, he has a great TrueFire lesson course that you can sign up for there. All right, guys, well, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.